Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chismis Corner podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pacifico.
I'm other host, Stanley Lynn.
And I'm Jasmyne Mendoza.
And today we have our special guest, Jasmyne Mendoza. Just to start off, can you give us your affiliation with Pitt FSA?
Yeah, so, hi guys. I am... Am I the BM or am I the advocacy?
It's been a little rough this year. She's two positions.
Officially, I am the business manager for FSA. I am also the advocacy chair, so I kind of have two positions. Yeah.
Alright, so I guess for the primary position that you have, can you kind of talk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, so I would say honestly, like if we're talking work-wise and, you know, what I spend most of my time doing, I'd say my primary position is probably advocacy chair, just because I am able to devote a lot more time to it. I feel like it has more, not more value necessarily, but it's more visible. Like BM is a very like background kind of position. You know, you do the reimbursements, you do the forms, you do the money.
Okay.
But as advocacy chair, I get to help with events. I get to like bring up ideas and speakers, and work out very closely with the other advocacy positions in the rest of ASA. So I guess for advocacy chair, I'm going to be honest, I really did not run for any of the positions that I have right now, and somehow I now have two.
Say marketing.
I
Probably as a really good image for us.
yeah. Well, I think the thing about it is that I was not like an intern. I wasn't really in committee because I didn't expect that I was going to find such a great community. But when it kind of came down to like election season, people were reaching out to me and they were like, hey, are you thinking of running? And I was like, oh no, I actually like didn't even think of that. Like I didn't realize that there were people that had, you know, thought that I would be a good connection for it. So I actually didn't run during the traditional election cycle. But as it turns out, over the summer, like they had not elected an advocacy chair. And so applications went out, and I was like, you know what? I think that I could probably do this.
Okay.
So I filled out an application over the summer. You know, I did a like brief interview with like the presidents and stuff. And it kind of was just a position that like ended up fitting me pretty well. I've always been kind of involved in advocacy like throughout high school. So it was something that I was also very passionate about. Like I didn't think that I was going to be passionate about it. I thought that, you know, I was like, oh, FSA is just going to be like a side thing when I'm in college. I'm so busy and like I have all these other things to be doing. So I'm not going to worry about like FSA as much. But it turns out that like, I think I learned from that culture and community and family is just as important in college as like, you know, your career clubs and like the professional organizations that you're a part of that are like devoted, like they're like just resume builders. Like to me, FSA is not, you know, I would not consider it. It is a resume builder, but it's not why I'm in it, and it's not why I do it.
Okay.
I do it for the people, and I do it for my family.
There you go.
So.
And for the food.
And the food.
So with business manager and advocacy, are they kind of like joint kind of together since you are both of them? Do you see like as you're doing your advocacy, you tie it in with like the business side of like your role?
I wouldn't say that much. I think with the business manager side of it, a lot of it is just kind of like reimbursements and stuff. But I do feel like I'm kind of in a position where I can advocate for more, I guess.
Okay.
You know, being not in control, but like being the manager of finances kind of makes you feel like you really have to know what's going on in your club. You have to understand like, oh, this is how our club has changed from, you know, since last year to now. This is like our financial situation. This is our like turnout, you know, and how like the trends in our club. So I think it's just given me a chance to kind of, they don't necessarily complement each other in like the tasks because I feel like they're very different positions. But they do complement each other in that advocacy, like the whole point of advocacy is obviously to advocate. And you can't advocate if you don't have like a strong background, a strong understanding. And so being like, you know, coming into the BM position, it's kind of given me more of a motivation, I guess, to really understand like the inner workings of, you know, the club and professional, like, not professional, but, you know, like bureaucracy and how all of those things play into being a student organization.
Okay.
So.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so kind of just start off your topic. So her topic's gonna be, it does kind of touch upon like your upbringing and whatnot. So first we're gonna get your information in terms of who are you as a Pitt student,
That's a deep
and
question.
yeah, really get into the philosophical stuff. You know, what do you study at Pitt, and kind of what other like involvement do you have with like clubs and whatnot? So.
Okay, yeah. So I am currently a sophomore here at Pitt. I am studying ecology and anthropology, double majoring, hopefully, with a minor in chemistry and museum studies. I am on a pre-medical track, so I am also part of a professional fraternity called Phi DE, which is a pre-med fraternity. And besides that, I mostly just do FSA. I'm doing independent humanities research in museum studies. It's one of my minors, and it's just something that I really enjoy. So there's that, and other than that, just like ASA stuff. I think I'm pretty involved in ASA, like the big organization, because of like the ASA Big Little program. I'm actually one of Stanley's grandnieces.
Unfortunately.
Hey!
Man, what a family thing to say.
Yeah, it's tough love. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much my involvement in it.
Okay, all right. So with the topic of outdoorsy kind of adventuring and whatnot, how did you kind of like get into like the outdoorsy traveling, parks, whatnot? How did it all come about?
Yeah, so that is a very long story, 19 years and ongoing.
Okay.
I have been like outdoorsy from the beginning. I think my first earliest memories are of growing up on a military base in San Diego in California. I did grow up in a military family, so a lot of the days were spent like outdoors, biking, going on walks, walking the dog. But after that, I moved back to Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii. So I moved back there with my parents after my dad finished his term in the military. And in Hawaii, it's very, like, I don't know how to explain this. It's a small island. There's not a lot of land. There's not that much to do. It's not like you can go out in the city, like, you know, go and do nightlife. There is a bowling alley, but it's not a big bowling alley. So, like, there's... Yeah, there's not much to do. And I grew up on, like, a smaller island, the island of Kauai. So it's not like Oahu. There's no city. Like, I think there's maybe, like, 2 elevators in the entire, on the entire island, not counting resorts. There's, like, 1 elevator in, like, the hospital, and then, like, service elevators in some of, like, the dental, like, buildings and stuff. There's no escalator. I've never seen an escalator on my island, which is fun. But growing up in such a small place, there's really not much to do except go outside. Like, obviously, I live, like, anywhere you live on Kauai, you're going to be close to a beach. You're going to be close to the mountains. It's not super, like, developed city-wise. So, most of my days were spent, like, after school, I would go to the beach. On weekends, I would go with my uncles and we would go hunting for pigs, trapping pigs, gathering fruits in the woods. You know, like, literally, like, walking into, like, straight up into the mountains to, like, pick fruits and stuff, bring them home to eat. Hiking, spear diving. I would go spear diving as a child, walking on the reef. So I just had a very outdoorsy childhood. And then even when I moved to Washington eventually, I've kind of lived a lot of places. I moved to Washington State when I was like in middle school-ish, and we would just go camping all the time because, you know, I couldn't really afford like game consoles. My family didn't make that much money. Like, couldn't really afford like Netflix for a long time, you know, like expensive toys. But since my dad was in the military, we could afford to like go pack a tent, go out and camp in the woods. So I just did that pretty much my entire life, and any weekend or break that I had free. When I was living in Hawaii, it was like every single day I was outside. When I was in Washington, whenever it was warm enough, whenever I had a free time, I would go out, go camping, go hiking, whatever. And that's kind of just like how I've always found breaks, you know? It's kind of like my happy place, being outdoors. And it's just like something that is also very closely connected to family for me, because I was, you know, always like outdoors with my uncles, hunting, hiking, camping, whatever. It's always like a family affair. So sorry, that's a lot. But.
No, you're good. You're good. So do you think that like that type of upbringing kind of geared yourself towards like what degree you're in currently?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. I think so. I'm studying ecology and anthropology. So ecology, definitely one of them. One of the main reasons that I decided to pursue ecology was because I wanted to do like field studies. Working out in nature, not being stuck in a lab. I learned when I took biolab that I really don't want to be inside of a lab on a bench for 10 hours a week. That's not something that I love. I'll do it to check a box, but it's not something that I'm passionate about, just being indoors. I like to be outside. I like to be among trees covered in mud, playing with worms. That's what makes me happy. So yeah, and then for anthropology, also like living in Hawaii is such a culturally diverse place. It's very like rich in history, and not all of it is good history. There's huge colonial influences there, so it's something that I've like grown up with, being exposed to, and it's something that I have tried to understand more. So going into anthropology and ecology is kind of just like, it kind of feels like it's what I've always been meant to do, I guess.
Okay. Alright, so I guess going more in depth into like the outdoorsy kind of lifestyle that you have, what are some like more notable like I guess trips that you've done maybe with your family, or maybe like solo trips that you've done or anything like that?
So I think in recent memory there's probably two. The first one was my major trip. It was driving across the North American continent from Western Washington State, like
this economy.
In this economy, you would be surprised when I was out in the middle of nowhere. Like South Dakota gas prices is like $3.
Well,
and it was like
South
South Dakota. No, because we did not like. Okay, so I guess I should tell this from the beginning. So me and my partner, my boyfriend, who is also going to school in Pittsburgh. Both of our families live in Washington, and I have my own car. This car has been, this is like the family road trip car. Originally, it belonged to my grandpa, then it belonged to my aunt. Now it belongs to me. It has so many miles on it, and it's been like all around the West Coast down to Arizona. And just recently we took it all the way from Western Washington State to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We hit Yellowstone, we went through Wyoming, we went through South Dakota, we went through all the middle states that I don't even remember because there was nothing there. But it was a really nice trip, and the only time that we spent like an exorbitant amount of money on gas, I think, was when we were hitting like bigger cities, because sometimes we would go through bigger cities just to like get be reacquainted with the population, be like, oh yeah, like people still exist. After driving like 4 days through South Dakota with literally not a single person in sight. But that was great, and we saved a lot of money because me and my boyfriend are both outdoorsy people, so we just camped the whole time. I think I took maybe 4 showers the entire 2 weeks. It was not great, but I was like, we're living the life.
There you go.
Living out of our car. But yeah, it was actually a really incredible experience. I think if you have the chance, you have the resources, you have the support, everybody should try to go on like some kind of long trip. Like not a trip where you're like, I'm gonna hop on a plane, I'm gonna stay on that plane for 6 hours, I'm gonna be in paradise. Like get down and dirty, like don't shower for a little bit. Just be really acquainted with yourself.
Sounds like a road trip podcast, Mike.
Road trip podcast.
So there's this isn't really like a road trip type thing, but like, so I went on YouTube and I was watching this video, and this guy, he did a road trip where he wanted to visit all the rainforest cafes in the U.S.
Oh, that is amazing.
And it took him like 3 weeks, but he went to like every single one, and I was like, I want to do that concept.
Jollibee.
Yeah, that's what I said, let me just make this as Filipino as possible. I go to all the Jollibees in the U.S. And then go around. Like, I just realized, like, there's actually a lot of Jollibees.
Well, just let's do a podcast trip down the East Coast.
Down the East Coast?
Like, go like, I guess like Philly. There's one in Philly, I know that much.
Yeah.
And then go down to Virginia.
I think there's like one in like the middle of PA. Like,
so there's one. I don't know about the
Maryland,
Philly just
Virginia,
opened up.
DC,
Maryland.
Philly, New York, Jersey.
Florida?
There's one in Florida, but
There
that's
isn't one in Florida?
that is so far away.
You just said the East Coast.
That's the East Coast!
Like
We
we still have school. You need to graduate this year. We don't have much time for you.
I guess you're right. All right. Well, yeah.
Upper East Coast.
Upper East Coast.
Upper
Okay.
East Coast.
All right.
I think
What's the
like
what's the state called?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. It's like Upper East Coast.
Okay.
But yeah, I had that idea for Jollibee's, and also I wanted to go to every single IKEA. And there's like 20. I think there's like 26 IKEAs.
Oh my god.
And I was
That's
like,
it?
yeah, but they're perfectly aligned where it kind of goes around the. And I was like,
Oh.
oh my gosh! I was like, I'm about to eat Swedish meatballs 26 times, man.
We gotta go to
So
IKEA.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
The notion of like going on a road trip, even if it's not like 100% like outdoorsy.
Yeah.
I feel like exploring the U.S. is something
Mhm.
something that not a lot of people do, even though they live here.
And I would say, like, even if you're just gonna go to the other side of your state, you know, like when I was in Washington, I lived in Western Washington, and getting to Eastern Washington was like a 4 or 5 hour drive, but we saw so much and we experienced so many things, you know, because you'll notice like how the people change, how the attitudes change, as you're going from place to place, and it's surprising how different it can get. So it really forces you. I think for me, I think it forces you to confront your, you know, prejudices and your preconceived notions about people. Sometimes it validates them, and that's not awesome.
Sometimes you can't really all. Sometimes you
Yeah.
can't really all.
But sometimes you learn new things about people, and you learn new things about yourself, especially when you have to smell yourself for days on end.
There it is.
It's quite the
Sometimes the
experience.
dry shampoo is just not gonna cut
Yeah.
it for you.
Sometimes you just gotta go in the trenches, you know, like.
There it is. Alright, but okay, so we kind of talked about like are there any like planned trips that like you want to do yourself that you haven't done yet?
Ooh, planned trips that I want to do.
Even if it's like not even like the U.S., like you want to, I don't know, climb Mount Everest or something
Oh
like that.
god.
Something.
I don't think I hate myself
I
like
wanna
that
do
much.
You want to do that?
It's
Well,
not.
I want to do like over the ocean climbing, or just me, no rope, just a chalk bag and myself, and shoes.
There's a
and shorts.
trail in Hawaii like
I
that.
know. I've watched videos. One
It's
day.
called Climber's Death.
Yeah. It's like a ridge, and it's like you're over the ocean. And there's like a cave, and you just climb along the bottom. They're just hanging the whole time.
Okay, Stan.
A good 20 minutes of
Free
climbing.
climb stand. All right. There you go.
I don't know about that.
Hey,
But-
You gotta face your fears.
Face my fears. More like face my death.
You gotta face death.
No.
I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready
Oh.
for that face.
So yeah, back to your,
Yeah.
what is like your ultimate like outdoor adventure, I guess.
That's actually, I think my ultimate outdoor adventure would be to sail the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Okay. This is actually like little cultural fact from somebody who grew up in both Hawaii as like a person of Filipino descent. I've spent, and this was part of my independent research project, which I did back in Hawaii over the summer. Is I got to learn a lot about like Pacific Islander and Southeast Asian voyaging traditions, and how they would use like the star, like Moana, like type beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like using the stars and the wind and the currents to navigate in the middle of the ocean. And it's something that I spent a lot of time learning about. So, I'm not the kind of person that wants to like circumnavigate the globe, I guess. I'm not like a Ferdinand Magellan. Fun fact, my ancestors killed him.
Oh.
I found that out recently.
Oh, that's some heavy stuff.
Yeah, the famous explorer was speared by one of my ancestors. So, that's fun.
Rich in culture.
Yeah,
Truly.
but I really wanna try sailing. I've never sailed before. I think it would be fun. Also, like, I think I'm a fan of really causing yourself a lot of pain. Like being out in the middle of nowhere. I loved being in the desert. I'll tell you that. When I was on my road trip, I was in South Dakota and we went through the Badlands. So maybe it's not like really a desert, but being forced to you're only there with like the wind and the dirt and the sky. And it was actually just like a really nice.
I think our next podcast in South Dakota.
In South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
The cheapest gas.
No, literally $3.
From here, South Dakota, and back.
Alright, so
It's a whole 4-day
it's a Jollibee trip.
Jollibee
Yeah,
and then South Dakota.
In South
Yeah.
And then hit some IKEA
So,
on the way back.
Northeast Jollibee, then South Dakota, come back.
I'm down,
Yeah.
I'm down.
No, yeah. But being out in like the middle of, you know, the middle of nowhere, and you only have like yourself and like your car and like the desert, and there's like nothing else around
Any
you.
big realizations on your road trips?
Big realizations on my road trips.
Like life defining realizations.
That's a lot of pressure. I think going on that road trip made me realize like this is not like a new thing, but like how small people are. Like when you're driving that far and you're hitting like thousands of miles, but like hundreds of miles a day. You know, like people's lives. You can like look out the window and you'll see like, you know, like a little house on a prairie, and you're like, oh my god, somebody lives there. Like that's somebody's life, and you're just driving past it, and you're like, you see so many things, and you're like, this is, you know, like this huge expanse of land in front of me is like what the world is. And it's like, I guess like in places like cities especially, that's not really something you see a lot. Everything is moving so fast around you, right? And it's like when you're out going on a road trip, going 80 miles an hour, you're the one that's moving fast. So it really puts into perspective like how, like what in life really matters, you know? Like I could be going, like when I was on that road trip, I was like, I could be going anywhere right now. And I'm just sitting here vibing with like, you know, my like iced coffee and my car and my aux. Like, and this is what life is about. So I don't know. It's something you have to experience for yourself, I think.
Alright, yeah, so I kind of asked that question because like, so I kind of have like a time in terms of like what my ultimate road trip adventure would be.
Do it.
But like, so I obviously have a lot of this random equipment and whatnot. But me and my homies, I think 2018, my friends were really into like ghost adventures, and they were like, bro, we should just go somewhere.
Oh god.
Go to a place. And like I entertained the idea, like, but then I'm just like, we're never really gonna do it. But then there's one day, it's like 9 p.m. My homie texts me. He's like, hey, are you doing anything right now? I was like, no, I'm home. He's like, you want to go to this abandoned church? And
Oh, so you want to be a headline?
I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll do it. So, you know, I grab all my, I call this ghost equipment. So I grab all the cameras and whatnot. We go to this like church, and like, so like I'm not even like scared of like the homeless people. Like that's not even my main problem. I'm scared of like rabbit, like a raccoon or something like that. Like I don't want a raccoon to like pull up on me because like he's hungry.
No.
So that was like the thing I'm scared of the most. So like we're going in there, and like I'm looking for a place to get inside, and we go to like the back of the church, and there's like this 1 2x4 that has been nailed with like a whole bunch of like, I don't even know, like 4 or 5 inch nails, but it's pried open. And the way that you get in is you push it out and then you kind of shimmy inside. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna fit in this. And he goes, there's 3 of us. He goes, well, Mike, you're the biggest dude here, so if you can fit, we can all fit. And I go, fuck, that's so smart. I'm like, fuck, dude, that's smart. I was like, I can't say anything. So I literally have my friends holding the plank that can literally just like swing and then just smack you into the wall. And I'm like shimmying in there. I'm like, please don't fucking touch me, dude. But like I can't like see inside either, or like have a flashlight. So I'm literally like shimmying into like this dark room and just hoping like there's no like animal or like,
Oh
you
my
know,
god.
like homeless person
In the abandoned church.
in the abandoned church. And I have no idea, but like that one adventure has started us on doing like random ghost adventures around Pittsburgh.
Oh.
But we run out of places in Pittsburgh.
You really want to be the white people in a horror movie.
Dude, man, hey, we ain't died, man. I'm Filipino, man. I got the Trinity. I got Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
All the time, it's always protecting me. There's nothing that can get
There
me.
you go.
But yeah, so I wanted to plan like not like a entire like U.S. trip, but like there's still places within like PA that we could like circle around.
Yeah,
And
the
we just
haunted,
do,
like the
go-
haunted places.
do ghost adventure, and we would just camp out
my
outside
God.
the haunted place.
No, literally, my aunt does that, and she like takes spirits home with her. Like it's happened
Should
multiple
we buy
times.
them? What?
No, because I think she said something about like spirits in jars. Like if you bring like a open jar
Oh yeah.
to a place,
If
like
you bring like
they'll
an empty like
like a
container.
yeah, it'll
like,
stay
they will
there.
stay in
So
there.
she does that shit.
Is this like a
Because-
Christian thing? Because I'm Buddhist. I
I
don't
don't-
know.
I think it's like a Filipino thing. I've
Yeah,
never
it's
heard
not.
it
It's
anywhere
definitely
else.
not like a Catholic thing.
No, like just like bottling
Yeah,
spirits
they're
in
not
little mason
bottling.
jars.
No, but like the last like one we went to like 15-20 minutes away from here. There is a old veterans hospital, and it was like it was like 6 or 7 buildings, and there was like this like underground like bowling alley. It was weird. Like it was fine like exploring like the main buildings, but when you go underground, bro, it feels weird.
It's different.
Not for
It's
me.
different
Not
underground.
for me.
I had my holy water.
Not for me.
It's a rosary.
I was like, I'm ready. Like, I wanted to have like the little sage that they have, like and they pour it on, like get back on like
The bundle and
yeah,
light
like a
on
little
fire.
bundle, little sage.
Light on fire.
Yeah, but I didn't have that. But it was interesting. It was interesting.
It's not for me.
We took a punching bag from there. It was like a 60-pound punching bag.
It's like a punching bag.
Yeah, it was in great condition. I don't know why we left it there.
Oh my god.
It was really weird because like we had to park in like a
You
residential
still have
area.
it?
Oh yeah,
Where is it now?
it's my homie Gary.
Oh, it's Gary's? Gary has it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was really weird because like we took it out of like this underground area, and then we placed it on the road because like there's multiple like buildings or whatever, and we were like, all right, we're just gonna explore everything else and then come back for this. And I'm like, it's like 3 a.m. and we're like, all right, oh, I guess we gotta carry this now. Thing.
I don't know.
I think the thing about like the ghost bottle is a
Yeah.
Filipino thing, but
The ghost
I don't think her thing about like I gotta capture as many as possible.
She's like collects them. She went to this like one like mansion or some dude's mansion that was like really haunted or something, and like apparently there was like a spirit there that like I don't remember like how she said that they died, but there was like they had one belonging left in the house and it was their shoes, like the person's shoes in a room, right? And like nobody ever touched the shoes because they left it there as part of like the tour, right? And that was the only like thing that they had of the person's possessions, and this person had like died some kind of like violent or like scary death, I don't remember. But she went back home, and she lives with my grandma, right? She kind of helps and takes care of my grandma. And she went home and she went to bed, you know, like she's like, oh, like I just had like a really great day, like going and seeing like dead people's houses, like it was great. She wakes up the next morning and her shoe, like something has like stolen her shoes. So I was like,
No, that's it.
and I was like,
That's
oh,
it.
hell
That's it.
no.
Alright, let's move on. I don't like this. I don't like this.
No, man.
Yeah.
I bet the grandma could see the demon. Like she's so old, she got.
No, my family does have like this sight. And that's why she likes to go to haunted houses. She
I
wants to like
definitely
see
don't.
people.
I definitely don't have to say. I've been definitely getting attacked like, spiritually. I just don't even know.
I think my old apartment last year it's a little haunted.
Well, I should.
I heard steps above my room. There was,
Oh, he told me about that.
It wasn't rodents. It was dumpling steps. I don't know what it
I got a
is.
story.
Ghost
Alright,
stories.
So yeah, just outdoorsy ghost stories.
I love it.
But so I used to live in South Oakland, and the one place that I used to live in, like I had come back from a like ghost adventure, and my roommates were just in the like living room watching TV, and they were just like, I don't know, they're watching Game of Thrones or something, and like they're like, yo Mike, why are you covered in like dirt and dust and shit? I was like, oh, I just came from a ghost adventure. And they're like, what? I don't know. I was like, yeah, we just went to like a hospital or whatever. And he's like, oh, like, are you cool with ghosts? I was like, I have nothing wrong with it. He's like, oh, you should know something's wrong with your room. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And he gives me this rundown. And he said, so before I moved in, there were 2 new people, with me and this other guy, and we were filling in spots for the like 3rd floor, like the attic room or whatever. And before that, there was like 2 guys and like this older lady living there. And one day over the summer time, like the 2 guys were in the living room playing like something, and the lady's like in the 2nd floor. And she like runs downstairs and she's mad, but then she realizes like there's both of them there, and she's like, who keeps on like doing something in the attic room? And then they're like, just us, like we've been here this entire time. She keeps on complaining. She's like, someone keeps on messing up. Like she thinks like there's a raccoon or something. And she's like, go check it out. She yells at you guys, and they're like, all right. So they go upstairs and they check the adjacent room. That was the first new person's room, nothing in there. And then they check the room that I moved into, and they're like, yeah, we don't really know what's happening. And they checked everything, and they're like, yeah, we didn't find anything. And they like, the lady was like, I swear it's the room right above me, which is my room. And they're like, yeah, we don't really know. And like, they're all in the first floor, they're complaining, and then immediately like the door shuts.
Oh fuck no.
And and they're like, dude, we didn't do that. And the lady again, she's like, go check it right now. I don't know where to go in there. So she goes upstairs. Like they all go upstairs. They check inside. There's like this boarded up, like bricked up, like fireplace, whatever. They check on the window. Nothing's there at all. And then I go, like he tells me that's like the ending of his story, and I go, so what's wrong with that room? And they go, oh, well, so this house used to be a trap house. We used to sell shit in here. And apparently, the previous owner, like there was a guy across the street who would always buy from that house. But then one day they got in an altercation inside my room, and the guy who like sold shit shot the dude who was trying to buy, and then just like fled the scene. So there's a guy who died in my room who just wanted to buy stuff.
Alright, let's move on. I don't like this.
No.
I don't want no stories in my
I love those stories.
Let me finish the story.
It's okay. We'll bless your place after.
I am Buddhist. You do not believe in
Well, that's on you.
Well, let me finish the story. So he tells me this story, and I'm like, oh damn, I'm gonna die. And he's like, no, nothing's happened so far, so you should be fine. And then like 2 weeks go by, no one's in the house, and I'm like, man, I don't really want to go anywhere. So I order like Uber Eats or something, and I hear like the doorbell ring, and it's all dark, and like usually I know if someone's like in the house if I can either hear them or I see like the lights underneath their like room, but I see nothing, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm the only one here. And I walk downstairs, I open the door, I look around, I go, huh, there's no one here. And then I close like the storm door, and then I like start walking up, and I hear my door close. I go, oh no. And I go inside, and like,
Go inside.
yeah, man, I'm not.
Oh my god.
I go inside and I go like, ain't no way. There's someone here. I'm like, nah. So I'm checking underneath the bed. I'm looking in the closet. I'm checking any place that something could hide in.
I just leave the house.
I open the window. I go up, and I'm like, ain't no way. Someone's like trying to scare me right now. No one's there. And like just to do a precaution, I knocked at everybody's door. No one was there. Either they were sleeping or like no one was there at all. And like I was like, shit. I'm definitely good. And then that's why I bought my holy water. I put the holy water there, and I kept it there. Dude, that's another one of the reasons why so side thing to this, I'm like, I don't know what the word is, but I'm like ordained or whatever.
Like,
Oh.
like ordained.
So
Yeah.
I can do like blessings, like weddings and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
other stuff. I got that because I was like, you ain't gonna catch me slipping. I got God on me. But it's not even like a religious like ordained thing. It's like the one that you get on the internet.
It's like the government one. It's like
It's
the
just the
state
government
ordained.
like,
It's a 50
It's
minute
a
test.
But as long as I'm just saying, if it's a modern ghost, he knows that I got the certificate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so
You're bringing up legal action.
yeah, I'm just saying, man. If you're gonna take me to court ghost, I got all
Ghost court.
Ghost court.
Ghost
I got everything you might need. So yeah, long story short, I'm like cursed.
It sounds like I need to set up a prayer area. In my
Hey,
apartment.
I'll bless it for you, man.
I gotta give Buddha apples and paper money now. I guess.
No.
Oh yeah,
Give-
Sam's gonna get his.
Yeah, just give me
like
just give the Christian boy. I got it. I got
yeah.
you. I'll get some sage. I'll light it up. Get the holy water. I'll spray it in there.
Yeah.
Say a couple things. It'll be easy, and then you can put Buddha on top of that, so it's double protection. That's double
Don't
layer.
tell them that's how religion works.
That's not how religions work. It's how protection works. Ghost
Ah.
protection. All right.
Yeah.
You got empty containers in here? That thing with the lemon right there? There's a ghost in there, man. There's a ghost in
It's
there.
not sealed. There's two straws
You
in
can
there.
go inside the straw.
What about your rice jar? Stand on top of your fridge.
Has rice in it. It's clean.
I'm just saying, man. You might walk out that door, something in that mirror.
Okay, chill.
Stop! I live here. You don't live here. I freaking live
Go
here.
down.
Do not go to this house, man.
I'm just saying, man. Hey, man, next time I'll bless everything. I'll bless everything.
Yeah.
You want? I'll go to church. I haven't gone to church in years.
I got a church.
I'll go.
I got a church.
I'll go. Like, Pastor, can I get some holy water?
Yeah.
Why do you want the whole? I'm just trying to get some blessings real quick. You know? They'll understand.
No, yeah.
I got
Absolutely.
you. No, I got you.
Yeah.
Next week.
This week.
I'll bring the holy water next week.
I have mine too. We had our holy water in our tent when we were camping because my boyfriend was freaked out about like Native American, like I don't want to say the name, but the animal pedestrians.
There it is. You need some holy water. I'm gonna give you some holy water.
Yeah.
We don't use that stuff.
You use that? Okay, good.
We don't use
Oh, you don't use that?
That's okay.
No.
That's okay.
That's just I'm just imbuing the protection for you.
I give my gods peaches and apples and fish.
Well,
And paper money.
yeah, but that just protects against famine, alright?
It's not about ghosts.
That's not about ghosts, that's about the hunger that might get to you. I'm talking about the spiritual.
I might need to find a shaman now.
I'm on me.
He's ordained by the
Come on.
state government.
I'm gonna get the little card I bought too for $5. It says certified of the summer, you know? Alright.
Alright, let's move on.
What a great side topic to talk about. How much time do we have?
We have 60 minutes.
60 minutes?
I love spiritual.
I don't even know where to wrap this up.
Where do we go with this?
Well,
I guess going to the outdoorsy thing. Are there precautions that you take whenever you go to
God.
places?
Oh yeah.
Other than like the holy water?
The holy water. I
Yeah.
got my rosary in my pocket wherever I go.
Okay.
No, because I think there's there's a lot of dangers to being like an outdoorsy person. Obviously, like at any point, on a hike, you could have like a dizzy spell, fall off a ledge. You know what I mean? It's actually something that's happened to me a couple of times. Is like I'll be hiking, and I think one of my favorite hikes that I've done in my life was I did a sunrise hike this summer.
Okay.
And it was in Rattlesnake Ledge, like half an hour drive outside of Seattle. And it's very like popular with climbers. The top is like a rock ledge and it overlooks a lake and the mountains and like old glacier valleys and stuff like that. And when I got to the top of that, me and my friend, we watched the sunrise, we had breakfast, we had coffee, we were just chilling. And then like an older couple comes up, right? And for the ledge, it's kind of like the size, I guess, of like this room, right? And it's like a lot of like deep crevices, and you kind of have to like jump over them to get to like the edge, and then it's like a cliff overlooking like a beautiful view, right? But there was an older gentleman that we were like kind of like sitting at the edge of the ledge, and I guess he tripped trying to get over like one of the deep crevices that like goes down like pretty far. Like if you fell down that and he like freaked out and he tripped, and he landed really, really hard, kind of took a chunk out of his leg. Like you could see into like the fat and the tendons and stuff.
Yummy.
And so I was like kind of a person that I had like a first aid kit, and so I had to like go and help this older gentleman. He was like very shaken, he was like really freaked out. He didn't know if he was gonna be able to get down. He was like generally okay, like there wasn't really anything else that was like wrong with him. But I was able to like patch him up, right? And I think that experience kind of like showed me that you always have to be prepared. So I always got with a first aid kit. I am like EMT certified, so I'm always like, I think that helped a lot with like, feeling prepared for things, but also it gave me a lot more paranoia because like every time something happens, I'm like, oh, but then this could go wrong, or this could go wrong, or that could go wrong. It's kind of like a double-edged sword there. But I always have a weapon or multiple on me. Bear spray is a big thing. Like definitely have invested in bear spray. And then other than that, like I know there are lots of women that feel comfortable going out hiking and camping solo, and like more power to you if that's you. That's not me. Like being outdoorsy, one for me has always been like a family thing. I like to go with friends, I like to go with people, kind of share the experience. But also I am terrified of like everything all the time, everywhere. Like I get very scared that like in the middle of the night, some animal's gonna come into my tent and like try to like bite my head off through the tent. Because we were camping in Indiana over the road trip, and there was like a probably like a medium-sized animal,
that came out of the woods in the middle of the night and started sniffing at our tent because I woke up in the middle of the night because something was scratching at the outside of our tent, and it was like I could see its snout like pressing into the tent, and like the snuffling. I think it was probably like a wild hog, and I'm terrified of hogs. I don't know if you guys.
But you've been hunting them like ever since she was born.
true.
Yeah, because they're big, like ferocious predator. Like, have you guys like read about like wild hogs and like they're an invasive species in most of the states in America.
No, I'm from Florida. I deal with alligators.
Okay, well that's you. Like Ohio, Indiana, like they're like an invasive species. They're an invasive species in Hawaii, and they get very out of control. They get very aggressive, especially when there's like young. So one of the reasons that we hunted hogs a lot in Hawaii was because they were an invasive species, and it was like an easy food source, right?
I'm not saying that's just like lechon every
Yeah,
day.
it is. Oh my god, the first time I killed a pig. But yeah, I was like terrified. Like I thought I was gonna like piss myself like in my like air mattress because I could see the snout of this animal. I'm pretty sure it was a hog. It could have been a bear. I don't think it was a bear. But then and then I was like, oh my god, like our food. We had some snacks in the tent because we were eating, and I was like, I should have put the snacks in the car. And so, like, I guess it's just, like, learning from, like, terrifying experiences. Like, always pack your snacks in the car. Because if you have food in your tent, animals will come and try to sniff at your tent. And that's not good. Always try to have, like, what is it? Like a first aid kit. For me personally, like, I would love to have an EpiPen on me all the time, but those are so expensive. Just like, on the off chance that you spontaneously develop like a life-threatening allergy. And that's the paranoia. Yeah. But I think a lot of it is just you have to have common sense and you have to be smart. Like I've seen people that like will go camping and they just will like leave like a smoldering fire. They're like, oh, there's no flame, so the fire pit's fine, and there's like still smoke, and they'll like walk away from it. And I'm like, okay, well I guess you just don't want to have forest anymore. But a lot of like, being outdoorsy is just don't be an idiot, right? Like have some common sense.
Yeah.
And don't be stupid. It's very simple.
So with your like rock climbing, with your like rock climbing background, do you do a lot of that stuff in Pittsburgh as well?
I actually started rock climbing last year-ish. I go with Stan a lot to the indoor bouldering gym in Southside Ascend. So that is something.
I'm dying.
You're good.
Yeah, the ghost got me.
It's the ghost.
You got
No
water.
water. Yeah, it was, and I did do a lot of like, well, not a lot, but I did rock climbing as a kid. When I had like the chance to go on my birthday for like bouldering and stuff. But I think my rock climbing background started with picking opihi and catching rock crabs in Hawaii.
Okay.
So that's just like a fun thing from my childhood. You'd always like when you're picking opihi, which are kind of like you guys know what limpets are, like snails, like they're kind of shaped like a volcano, like they're shells, and then they're kind of like snails that like latch onto rocks.
Yeah.
Like we have a species. I don't know if it's the same species of snail, but we call them opihi in Hawaii, and they're very hard to collect because they hold very tightly to rocks, and you have to like sometimes you have to dive, and you have to go where the waves are crashing against the rocks, like open ocean wave, like big waves crashing against the rock, and you have to like scrape them off, and then not get slammed into a rock and like get your skull crushed by the ocean. So I've always liked to just climb on rocks and stuff. That's just like sounds so weird, but I'm like a rock kid.
I'll run with that. Do you think rock climbing actually translates to like natural form, like rock climbing? Do you think is it completely different?
Indoor rock climbing is very different from outdoor. It's like
Depends. Like I've never done like not like free climbing like.
well, free climbing's issue with free climbing is it's very subjective to like outdoor conditions.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
indoor is a little more like man-made. You can adjust it whether you want.
I've never like done rock climbing like outdoors just for rock climbing. It was always to like catch food or get to like a reef to go like diving and stuff.
Okay.
So I would say that some things definitely not like there's no grips
Yeah.
on like rocks that are like in the ocean. But like I guess balance is a good is like one thing that has been really important because you know when you've got a whole like ocean trying to like sweep you off the rocks, you kind of have to have good balance, I guess. Good like center of gravity has been something that like I think because I've seen a couple of times, you know, helping me when I'm like rock climbing indoors and also rock climbing outdoors. So I don't know. I just think that it's like a nice. Sometimes it's a familiar experience when I'm indoor rock climbing. I'll be doing like a weekly challenge or something, and a lot of it is like balance and getting from like one hold to the next. And sometimes it just makes me feel like I'm like back home, like jumping from rock to rock, like 5 years old, like bare feet. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, are there any other questions that we have?
Don't even know where this conversation went.
Yeah, but we definitely went. We went around everywhere.
Oh yeah, like a road trip.
Yeah, just like a road trip.
Just
like a road trip. Like,
you never know what's gonna come.
I don't even know if we're coming back though. You know what I'm saying? Definitely wasn't a round trip.
No, I think your next podcast should be ghost stories and spirituality.
No.
I don't know what type of guest we got for that one. To be honest with you.
No,
we just find like one of those like clubs who just like the gothic horror.
There's definitely one of shit, but like,
I don't know if you want to talk to them.
I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like traveling in general, I guess like I don't know. My travel is very different from I guess hers because I grew up in Florida. It's like more. It's strictly flat land.
There's no
It's either swamp or flat lands. I go hiking a lot in like woods and like swamps.
It's not hiking. Like, is it okay? Is it hiking if it's flat? I think hiking is elevation. Like to me, hiking is like you get that elevation gain. If it's flat, it's just a walk.
This is.
It's a walk.
This is Florida hiking.
So a walk.
This is a walk. But it's like a lot of climbing trees, a lot of walking, a lot of like trying not to step in quicksand, a lot of not trying to get.
Okay.
I would kill to see quicksand. I've never seen quicksand.
Not fun. It's not fun. It's not great.
But it's quicksand.
Yeah, I was going to say. I kind of just want to stand in it. You know what I'm saying? But I want like this. I want the security to be able to like be pulled out, but I just kind of want to like feel like I'm about to like God, like the devil's like.
It's not great. It's not great.
Alright.
Do people actually die from quicksand?
No, rarely. It's like 1 in like 1,000. It's like very rare, unless you really try to die.
So
Like head first in, but like.
I think you should go climb in quicksand.
Yeah, I think
it'd be a good
I'm gonna go South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Dollar couple Ikeas, quicksand pit, and then there we go. That's my ultimate road trip adventure. There it is.
Ultimate road trip adventure. I like that.
Yeah, there.
I like that.
Nice little chicken combo, Jollibee.
Get a bucket.
Get a bucket for the quicksand pit.
Some hamburger steak.
Some hamburger steak. Ah, man, sounds better already. All right, well, are there anything else?
That's it.
Anything else that you want to talk about as well?
No, thank you guys for having me. This was a fun,
Yeah,
kind of chaotic conversation.
Chaotic, impromptu.
And you curse my house.
No such
you're
thing.
Good, you're good. You're
You
good.
just have to ask them to leave.
Yeah.
Just say please get out, and they'll.
But you gotta open the door to do the gesture. So.
Yeah.
Good.
When you, this is something that my uncle taught me because one time I accidentally went into like a place that was like a burial ground in Hawaii by accident. He said when you feel something, because I brought something home with me, I could feel it like behind me. You know when you like can feel somebody behind you?
No.
Well.
I can't.
Like you can feel like I would feel somebody's presence behind me, and so he was like, just go like this, go like that, and you brush them off. So there you go. That's good. Here, do it. Do it. Come on, go like this. Go like that. Okay, well.
I don't got anything on there. You know what? I'll open my backpack and I'll go get it, and then they'll jump in there, and then we just go. All right. Well, if there's no other topics or questions to talk about, I guess we'll wrap up the podcast. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been another episode of the Chismis Corner podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pacifico.
I'm scared. I'm scared. But yeah, I'm Jasmyne Lynn.
I'm Jasmyne Mendoza.
And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, guys.